Welcome back, Falcon fans. Garen Shawns here with our weekly update with Coach Young. Coach, coming off a big 45-10 win against Lebanon Trail, you made it to the playoffs, but that new UIL rule allows the Corsicana Tigers, who are 8-2, to be able to get home field advantage. They're going to get that home game. What do you think about that?
Well, it is what it is. It's the rule, and I know why they made it. It's become such a hard thing to find venues to play at in the first round. With so many teams in the area making the playoffs, it becomes really difficult to find a place to play, a time when you want to play. Most everybody wants to play on Thursday and Friday in the first round. You really don't want to start the Saturday until later on, but you kind of get forced into that because of venues. So I think in the long term, it's really the right decision. I think it makes it a lot easier for everybody, but it's tough for us this time to be on the road. But it is what it is, and we're excited about the opportunity. That's all you can ask for.
What were y'all able to work on last week against that Lebanon Trail team? You asked for turnovers, and I think Kobe Minor heard you loud and clear. Came up with those 2 turnovers, had 12 total tackles. The defense was just all over the place. What did you think about that?
Yeah, turnovers are, I think, a lot of times, you can have a really good defense one year and not have a lot of turnovers, and then the next year that you just seem to get a bunch. And sometimes they come in streaks. So hopefully, that having a few of those will kind of catch fire. And because that in playoff time, if we can get turnovers, we got a chance to beat some people in our bracket. So that's going to be really important. Hopefully it kind of sparks something that continues this week.
Coach, do you have any of those those specialty packages that we saw a couple years back in the playoffs? Would put Keegan Brewer back there at the safety position if you needed to swat a ball down. Or are you thinking about putting Brandon Engel? We did. Ryan Depperschmidt used to play safety back in his sophomore season and second team all district. Do you have something planned for that?
Well, yeah, we have some different things that we've been able to work on the last couple of weeks that we haven't worked in games. So you'll see different wrinkles. I think a lot of it, with Brandon especially, is his health. He still is. We still got to keep an eye on him and make sure he's going to be healthy to catch touchdown passes. You see what a big difference he makes offensively. So we definitely want to be careful with both of those guys to not put them in a spot where they get hurt. But definitely they can help us do different stuff. They both played back there before, son.
Yeah, talking about Brandon Engel, just 4 catches, but man, he made the most of those 4 catches. 160 yards, 2 touchdowns, accounted for all of Ryan Depperschmidt's yards except for 24 of them. And mentioned those 2 touchdowns. Was that just to kind of knock off the rust and then taking him out after that half?
Yeah, we didn't want to play him a lot, and we didn't have to play him probably to win that game. But I think it's important to, Ryan's been really limited in practice the last couple of weeks too. And I think, he missed a couple long passes that he usually hits. So I think it's important to get out and get your timing. You can practice all you want in the game, but getting that game timing was important. And I think that really helped us that half. We darn sure didn't want to get him hurt, but we wanted both of them to kind of get to work together a little bit so they're ready to go. And I think it'll help us this week.
Yeah, I kind of saw a little bit of a different characteristic coming out of Ryan last game. Had Kylie Smith open down the middle on those deep post routes that he's usually able to hit. Just overthrew him on a couple of them. What type of injury is he dealing with?
He's just been banged up, and his arm's been a little sore. But I think part of the problem, everyone was an overthrow. I think actually the positive of it, I think his arm's feeling better. So that's a good sign. I think he's kind of got his arm refreshed a little bit. From really limiting his throws in practice, I think's got him really juiced up again in his arm, and he's looked great in practice today, and the timing and they all said too, playing a little bit on that grass I think affects your timing a little bit. It's nice to play on, it's soft, but it is a lot slower surface to run on than the turf, and I think they had a little bit of that too to get used to.
Coach Ty Studhalter has definitely made an impact on the defense, but I think the biggest impact that he's able to make is on the special teams unit. Whenever he is not on the field, it just does not look the same. How important is that guy to that special teams, and how is he doing? Yeah, what is his status?
Yeah, he won't be back again this week, but we hope to get him back next week. Our kickoff coverage was not real good the other night, but we also gave a lot of our starters off of that kickoff. We're going to have a lot of those guys back on the kickoff team this week. And that's going to be an important part. They are very good at returning kicks. That is one thing that's been really a big plus for them. So it's been something we've really worked on this week and try to eliminate the big one. They have two really good running backs. Number 21 is a phenomenal running back, but also a return guy. So it's going to be a big part of our thing. We got our really good guys back on that kickoff coverage.
Coach, just going to talk about Brennan Ingle for a couple more minutes because he did accomplish a feat that has been kind of difficult for Lake Dallas wide receivers. They've all been super efficient, and Ryan Depperschmidt's able to pass the ball around to so many different receivers. But Brennan Ingle's the first 1,000-yard receiver since Keegan Brewer. How important is that to this team, and especially the threat that he's able to bring, especially going up against Corsicana?
Well, it's a great accomplishment. If you look in the state of Texas this year, there will not be but just a handful of guys that get over 1,000 yards receiving. So it's a really good accomplishment, and you get to figure, too, that he did that. He missed one game, played a half in two other games. So he really missed 2 games of football that he could have had some more catches in. But it's a great thing. It's a great weapon because it changes the way defenses play us totally when he's able to be out there. They're either going to have to double team him, they're going to have to put safeties deep, and it just makes it different because when he's not in there, people play us differently. It makes it a lot harder for us to run the ball when he's not in the game. Having him out there makes a difference.
I wanted to mention the backup quarterback situation. Kyle Nielsen, he's had those chances to fill in whenever Lake Dallas has a pretty sizable lead. What's that looking like? How's that turning out? We've seen him struggle a little bit, Kyle Nielsen, but he does pretty well when he's taking off with his legs. Is Brandon Ingle a possible backup quarterback option as well?
Yeah, we have several that can. Kylie can play some. We have a lot of plays for him in the playbook that we haven't even run yet, too. So there's a lot of things we can do at quarterback if we get in a bind, but hopefully that we won't ever get to that point.
You got to think Kylie Smith reminds me a little bit about Boobie Miles back in Friday Night Lights. Does he have that type of arm? He can just about do it all?
Yeah, he's got a good arm, and he can throw. He's thrown a couple nice passes, and we're getting him the ball 15 to 20 times is really important to us. And if we win this playoff game, it'll be because we got him the ball, like I said, 15 to 20 times, either throwing it, catching it, running it.
Wanted to touch on these two things for your two seniors. D.L. Robertson, 16 tackles for loss and 7 sacks on the season. This guy's just been spectacular on defense and been able to play all over the field since his sophomore year when he first got on varsity. What have you seen in his development, and what have you seen in the defensive line's development? Because there's been a lot of those guys that have been on this team since they were sophomores, and you've seen Talano Evans kind of have to evolve his game. He's become that run-stop type of defensive end. Obviously, D.L. Robertson has become an elite-type defensive tackle, defensive end, or linebacker, inside linebacker. He plays just about everywhere. What do you have to say about all those guys?
Yeah, moving them around, I think having versatility makes a big difference defensively, and D.L. will play inside linebacker, D-tackle, and defensive end in this game, and he's going to be a factor. And, between him and Brockenbush and Blair, T-Ray, of course, and I think the two guys that have really helped us, too, have been Uka and Christian Crawford have helped us. To be able to put guys in that can play 10 or 15 snaps a game and be quality snaps and make plays, they've made some big sacks. So this is going to be probably one of their biggest tests. This is a really run-heavy team with a good quarterback that can run, a good running back can run, and I think we're playing our best football up front on defense, and we'll need it tonight.
Talking about Christian Crawford, he had laid some hits on Lucas Rexon last week going against Lebanon Trail, and he just seemed to wreak havoc in that backfield. And then Yuka has just done phenomenal filling in whenever Talano Evans was out for those couple of games. Talking about these players of the week here, we don't get to touch on them very much, but tell us about the freshman and JV player, Jacob Sabatos and Rajah Singh.
Yeah, Sabatos this week was the freshman player of the week. We've got high hopes for him. He's really talented, skilled, fast, catches the ball, can play deep, plays corner, plays receiver, a guy that we can move around. He kind of plays the same position that Kylie does for us for our freshman team, and we're excited about him. He's going to be a big-time player here someday. And Singh, our defensive end, plays a little linebacker too, but he's going to be a really solid player too. Our defense, especially on the JV team, was really good. We have a lot of guys we're looking forward to, and that our JV team had a really good football season, so we're excited about that whole group.
Yeah, and to mention the rest of the Falcon players of the week, Falcon of the week, Ryan Hull, special teams player of the week, Anthony Patty, offensive player of the week, Brandon Ingle, defensive. Kobe Minor for obvious reasons. So now let's get into this Corsicana game. You're not going to get to play on that neutral field that Blake Dallas has gotten the ability to do whenever they're able to get into the playoffs. But Corsicana's only losses are to 9-1 Centennial, not Frisco Centennial, the one out in Fort Worth, and they suffered an upset on the final game of the regular season to Ennis. What are y'all watching those films about what they did wrong, and are you going to incorporate that into y'all's game plan?
Yeah, we actually trade every game, so we've watched and studied all of their films, and we got to see them early in the year too. They played Denison early in the year in the second game of the year, so we got to see them way back then. Of course, like I said, their quarterback is what makes them go. It's a coach's son, a big kid that runs the ball. He'll run it 25 or 30 times a game and throw it. Kind of a tough physical kid that shifty. They have two really good running backs, 20 and 21. They're explosive. They're obviously more of a run team. If you look at their stats, their total points scored and total yards per game are almost exact as ours. We're almost identical with the stats. Now, we do it a lot more with the pass than the run. They do it a lot more with the run than the pass, but both of us have created almost the same points and yards. So it'll be really fun to kind of see the different styles and how they work against each other. But, they're a good team and they're a good offensive line. But I think we've got a pretty, this playing on the road is tough, but we're excited. We had to, going from the third spot to the fourth seed seems like a big deal, but it's really not. Kaufman, who we would have played before, was very similar to Corsicana. Not having Alito in the second round, I think is exciting for everybody. That's a really good bracket. I think our kids have been excited about it, and so we're looking at it as a positive and something that's kind of something that gives us some life and gives us some inspiration. I think it's led to great practice, and we're excited about it.
Just looking back and thinking about Alito, they've just bred football players out of that facility, and they're incredible every single year, and it just seems every single year they're going to the state championship, if not winning that state championship. So you definitely being able to skip them and not having to play them, that is a very big early Christmas present for every single playoff team. And speaking about those players, number 21, Dejion Nathan, he's just had an incredible season out of Corsicana. Blake Hoffman, number 12, the quarterback, like you mentioned. But they are getting their dangerous wide receiver, number 15, Drew Denbo, back. He's missed the last two games, a little bit like Brandon Ingle has. I think they're going to be able to open up that passing game. What does that do to your game plan of stopping that run?
It will not change a lot, but we have seen him, the receiver, on film, so we know what he brings. But it's still we still have to be really good against the run. They're good at throwing the ball because they run the ball well. They get a lot of second and short, so it gets them a chance to throw the ball and not have a lot of risk involved. Because on second and 2, they can throw it, and if it's incomplete, they can come back and run the ball and get the first down. So I think the main thing is to get them in second and long where they have to throw the ball. We can they got some formations that they're a little bit more, pass to run. So if we can kind of get them in passing downs, get them in some of those formations, maybe we can get after the quarterback and cause him some problems. That's going to be a big part of stopping their passing game.
Thinking back, I believe it was just last year, Little Elm had those dual threat running backs that they ran in wishbone formation, and they ran the triple option, just the single option type quarterback plays, and Lake Dallas was able to stop it the second time around. First time around, they got him and caught him off their heels. So is it just being very disciplined among the defensive line as when they go into those wishbone formations, in those option formations?
Yeah, they run their zone read stuff is just about discipline, and really it's going to be about getting off blocks and tackling the linebackers and stuff on the edge. And tackling is going to be the most important thing. 21, the running back, is, I think, really good at breaking tackles. And I think the quarterback is really elusive running. You'll see him. He's really good at spinning and moving and getting off of tackles. So just really it's about tackling, being in the right spot, and finishing piles, forward our direction. Those every one of those yards makes a big difference. There's a big difference when you play a team like this from 3rd and 3 and 3rd and 5. It makes a total difference in what they call. So that's the kind of spots we need to put them in.
Coach, it's a different look on this Lake Dallas team. Last season, the district Lake Dallas was able to lose a couple games. I believe it was 3 games or 4 games, just about what the record is this time around. But this season has just been incredibly difficult with the new district change and having to go against Lovejoy, Denison, Frisco. You just think of some of those powerhouse type schools. How much has that helped y'all coaches to be able to go on and be prepared for the playoffs and face these better teams in Corsicana? And obviously you don't have to go up against Aledo, but obviously helps whenever you've had to go against Lovejoy and Frisco Reedy especially.
Yeah, we've seen Frisco Reedy style of offense is very similar to Corsicana. We've seen spread throw it like Lovejoy. We've seen big, heavy run packages like Frisco and Denison. So it's been good. We've seen really good teams with all different styles, and that always helps you, I think, a lot in the playoffs. And I think you think of a team like Denison who didn't make the playoffs, and they're a really good team. I don't think people know how good they are. They played Burleson Centennial, who's ranked, I think, 12th or 13th now in the state, and they lost to them 52-49 in the second game of the year. So that's how good they are. And they beat a team like Sherman by 3 touchdowns the first game of the year, and Sherman makes the playoffs in that really good East Texas district, and Denison doesn't even make it an R. So I think it shows the quality of our teams. I think it shows a little bit, I think people didn't think Frisco was very good and we didn't play very good. Well, Frisco comes out and beats Lovejoy when Lovejoy had a lot to play for. So I think it also shows a little bit about that, Frisco is a pretty good team too. So it's been a good district, and I think it'll help us in the playoffs.
Coach, the team saying is believe in battle, and how are y'all preaching that towards these kids right now? This is the time that they have to believe in battle.
I think it is. It's this. I think the one thing that's very important in all playoff games is you have to believe you're going to win. You have to believe that first. You have to want to, and then you have to battle. You've been around playoff games, and anybody that knows it, it's a whole different level of physical and toughness and grinding it out. And it's usually the team that's willing to lay it on the line for 4 quarters that's going to win. So you have to battle through it, and that's what we've been talking about all week long, and our kids are excited about the challenge.
And I think of Ryan Depperschmidt, and I think back just a couple of years ago to that playoff team that I was able to be a part of with Dagan Hahn, and you think of the believe in battle, and he was playing on that torn ACL. He played with the tore his ACL earlier on in the season, went deep into the playoffs, tore his ACL on that final I believe it was a semifinal game in the Texas high school football playoffs, finished it off on a torn ACL. These guys are just able to play through injuries, and there's so many similarities to those two teams. What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's a lot. We talked about it in practice the other day too. Playoff 2 is also about people that'll get over. Everybody's got bumps and bruises. Everybody's sore. Everybody's banged up. I think the team that a lot of times win playoff games are the teams that can get over that stuff and want to keep playing. If you let it get to you and it's not that big a deal, and you may subconsciously think it to yourself that, you know what, I'm beat up, I'm tired, I'm done. Those are the teams that aren't going to win the playoff game. So that's a big thing mentally in your head, is getting over that stuff.
Coach, wanted to mention real quick, Coach Steve Hoffman says they're ready for the playoffs, and they're not going to let that NS loss happen again. And they're coming off a rare – they played for 10 weeks straight, and they're just now getting to use their bye week. So they've had the bye week. They were able to go and watch Lake Dallas in person going up against Lebanon Trail. How much does that help them, or does that hurt them? And what do you think about Steve Hoffman saying that he won't let that loss happen again?
Well, I think it's a plus probably to have a bye that late. I think you worry a little bit too about having the game speed ready, because you can't simulate that in practice. But I also consider, I'm not saying taking anything away from Lebanon Trail, but that was a game where we didn't have to expel a lot of energy at either, and we were able to kind of work on some different stuff during the week going into that. So we didn't have a bye week, but we had an opportunity to kind of get rested and get ready too for this game. So I think it's probably not as big as advantage if we had to play like a Lovejoy the last game, trying to fight to get in. I think that could be really hard on a team going into the next round, but I think we're in a pretty good spot too.
And so would you say that bye week would help them or hurt them? Sorry,
it would help them.
Okay.
Because I'm sure they were probably banged up. It's hard to go. Their district is tough like ours, so I'm sure that it probably helped them heal up. But there's also, like I said, it's tough to go 2 weeks of practice without a game, and all of a sudden you get into a playoff game, and it's such a big deal from the very beginning, speed wise. So it will definitely help the healing, but you don't know exactly how it'll affect, the beginning of the game.
Right. So they got to get that game speed up. Lake Dallas is up to speed. Got to hide a couple of those short plays, right? During that Lebanon Trail. During the Lebanon Trail game, excuse me. Man, I struggle with that name. So y'all were able to work on those trick plays. Y'all got a couple more up your sleeves?
Yeah, we always have some different wrinkles and different stuff, and hopefully, it all works and helps us win this week.
All right, definitely hoping for a Falcon win. First round of the Texas high school football playoffs at the Corsicana Tiger Stadium. Kickoff at 7:30 p.m. Be sure to tune in to our live broadcast on our Lake Dallas Quarterback Club YouTube channel. Coach, thank you so much for your time, and go Falcons.
All right, appreciate it.